Hi, I'm Riccianino, and today we're going to talk about a part that I've built on our Stratasys F370 using ABS material that captures a bolt into a thumb screw for our Origin 1 demo part kit.
Using SOLIDWORKS, we've designed a simple thumb screw shape that is an extruded cylinder with our knurling and Trimec logo in the top. If I turn this to transparent, you can actually see the hex bolt head cavity. And what we're going to do, if I highlight this face right here, you'll actually see exactly at the layer that we're going to add a pause in our build. It's actually the first layer after this top surface of the bolt head. What we're also going to do in Insight is delete all the supports that are in this cavity for the hex head. And we're also going to build a tree, and we'll actually visualize it with this feature. This is going to be a cylinder and then a flat plate that shows enough space for the bolt to go into the build. And we'll actually delete this cylinder afterwards, so we'll have a hole in that support surface that goes up to the base of this part. So that way, when we hit the pause, we'll be able to take the bolt, pop it into the part, and then continue printing. Now we're going to go ahead and take this assembly and export it as a single STL file, even though they're not connected, and we're going to bring that into Insight. Now that we have our assembly in Insight using a single STL model, we're going to confirm that our settings are correct, and the most important one in this circumstance is that we are using sparse support structures. Those support structures are completely vertical versus the smart support style, which will build with a self-supporting angle. And because we're going to have a hole through the center for our bolt to go into the part, we want a nice strong base, so that vertical structure of the sparse support style will be perfect. Let's go ahead and slice this part up. You can see the empty hex cavity on the interior. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to locate that first hex slot. There it is. And we're actually going to go one slice above that, and that will be our layer for the pause. So we'll go to Toolpaths, Insert Pause, we'll select that layer and click OK. So now if we look from the side and we see all the layers, you can see exactly where that pause is. It is a highlighted layer when we're in the Insert Pause menu. It's important to note that when you are making multiple copies of a part that has a pause in it, you're going to want to save two different files. The first one is our model right here that has the pause, but the second is going to be an additional model that does not have the pause. So in order to remove that, we're going to go ahead and select that area, and we will deselect and click OK. So now we've actually removed the pause. But right now, because we are going to go ahead and save the pause file first, we're going to go ahead and add that back in. Just important for you to know how to do that in Insight. It's a little bit of a tricky process. And the next thing that we're going to do is locate the very first layer of the model itself, which is going to be right here, this actual thumb screw base, because we want to go ahead and create supports that only go up to this point and don't go up into this hex cavity. The top of the hex cavity is just a flat layer, and if we don't tell it the layer to start at, it's going to build support into it, which we could certainly delete out of there, but we can go ahead and avoid that in the start if we go ahead and identify which layer that is. Now, our very first layer, this circle right here, is layer 48. So we're going to open up the support styling, okay, the support setup, and we're going to click this starting height button and click 0.48, okay? Now, if we look from the side and then generate our supports, you'll see it only generates directly under the part and not in that cavity, which is perfect. The last thing that we need to do before we send this over to GrabCAD Print is to delete out that column. So I'm going to go ahead and select this circle, which is our column, and then I'll just hit the delete button, which gets it out of there. So, toolpath in the part up, you'll now see that we have our hollow surface on the interior. I'll go ahead and shade that to make it easier to see. And then going down in the support structure, you can see that we do have a hole that our bolt will go into, and we've actually got plenty of space on the sidewalls for our bolt to fit, as well as a little bit of clearance on the Z height. So at this point, we'll go ahead and send this over to GrabCAD Print. And we're going to go ahead and slice. We'll get a slice preview from GrabCAD Print. In GrabCAD Print, we also have a visualization for that Z pause. You can see it's actually a blue layer. On the right side in the slice preview, it's actually also got a little call out, so we can actually turn that off if we want. And you can see exactly which layer at which that is. Previously, we had a certain layer, I believe it was layer number 72, and then we added in a support base, so it added 10 slices to it. But you could also see over here on the left side, we can see visually that there's a little diamond for where that pause is in the part. And if we go down below it, we now have confirmed there is no support inside of the hex cavity, nor is there any support going straight down through that hole. So we are all set to go ahead and print this, or if we wanted to add multiple copies, which we actually are going to, we'll go back and we'll create one more copy of this file that does not have the pause and add however many we're going to use for that. In our case, we'll use 2 more copies, and then we're going to go ahead and send it to the printer.